So I've always been fascinated, and I've always wanted to see firsthand myself, besides doing the review today, Alien from 1979. I've always heard good things about it. I've always heard specifically that it was scary, and it was really good. So scary that it's good. So that's a good sign right there. Plus, also a very young, and sorry for being a man, but I'm guilty, and I'm raising my hand to confirm so. A young Sigourney Weaver, you say? That is plenty enough incentive for me to watch this goddamn thing. Especially a young Sigourney Weaver making her big screen debut here back in 1979 in Alien, of course. And listen, you may be more fond of a more womanly shape or a more friendly female esque head of hair compared to what she got going on here. She looks like Howard Stern with a fresh haircut, to be honest. Half the time with the hair. But then again, when you got no hair like me, you can't help but be a little jealous and a little envious of what she got going on her head. Growing out her head, kind of like the little alien that shot out the stomach of the fucking the Xenomorph in this fucking thing. I gotta give all credit due to Alien for being as honestly, I'm sure even from back when and even now, very first time finally sat down and watched it in 2024, 45 years later, I'd say this movie looks wise as far as special effects and all that. 85-90% of it still holds up. Still looks very good. Still looks convincing enough to be as scary as a lot of people say it is. I was scared. I had a lot of jump scares throughout the whole watch. Um, I love the buildup of you don't get to see the full on alien slash xenomorph until the very end, practically. And then when you think she just got rid of it, it's still there the whole time, and then she has to really double down on getting rid of it. And only then, after she finally escapes and she's back in her pod on her way back to Earth after finally killing the goddamn xenomorph alien, only then is she relieved and she gets back into a pod and she's going to sleep for like 6 weeks, which shit, 6 weeks sleep? That sounds nice. That's almost like whenever they put out there in the open, like, oh, NASA's looking for brand new astronauts or astronaut trainees amongst our simpleton fucking asses out here who don't know any better. Like, I don't know my head from my ass, let alone am I gonna know about the different layers of space in the galaxy out there. But shit, I want to be an alien. I want to do those sleep studies where I'm like sleeping for like 6 weeks in a pod, eating out of fucking tubes and shit. Why not? Give me that shit. I can't wait to go to the fucking moon. Not even just to visit, just to fucking live there. I'm tired of this fucking planet. The pollution, the corruption, the people and shit. Not everybody. You know, there's such a thing as friends even for me, but for the most part, humanity kind of sucks. So what's the whole point of Alien? What's the premise? How's it go down? Okay, there's a bunch of humans. They're sent on a mission with money involved, of course, to go up into space in this big ass ship called the Nostromo, which is capable of carrying 20 million tons of mineral ore from space. They gotta go grab it out in space, come back down to Earth, and make their monies from transporting fucking minerals and shit intergalactically, of course, on some Beastie Boy shit. Shouts to that song. And who's the one that passed away in the Beastie Boys? I forget. But shouts to him and rest in peace to him. Not the biggest Beastie Boys fan ever, but respect, respect. They were there at a vital time of music and hip hop, so they do matter. They did leave an impression per se. Back to this, right? So they're on this big ass ship. Ideally, the mission is to just get in the ship, get off the ship, pick up the mineral ore, get back on the ship, get the fuck out back to Earth, right? But of course, something has to go wrong because apparently the ship has its own AI mother brain, which at some point says we're receiving a message from another fucking planet along the path, mind you, where there's a distress signal. So we need to go check it out. So then the whole ship changes its whole course to go to address this distress signal, which they do. They go to check it. One of the guys is curious enough to step outside. Of course, he's painfully white, so why wouldn't he go step out the side of the ship and poke his head into like a big freshly oozing alien egg pod? It busts open in front of him, latches onto his face. He's got a crawl, whatever the thing is called, a crawler latches onto the guy's face. It's latched onto his head. It's sucking out the life force out of him. In the meanwhile, like it detaches at some point, or presumably it dies. But in the meanwhile, it injected its like alien sperm through its mouth into its digestive tract, and it got the man pregnant. Because then, of course, we get the infamous scene while they're all eating, and the guy's back out of a coma after getting his face sucked on by an alien. He's spazzing and whiling on the table. They're trying to hold him back, but in the meanwhile, his stomach bursts open. We get the fucking peak of the alien, the little xeno tiny morph that comes out the stomach. It looks painfully bad. I don't know about 1979 eyes looking at that shit back when. People probably freaked out knowing women, they were like, ah, or whatever, grabbed the titties and shit, like, ah, or check. People were definitely checking their stomach, lifting the shirts, checking their stomach to see if nothing was going to poke out of them out of pure fear or something like that, right? Or they sucked a dick the night before and they said, you didn't put no fucking sperm through my mouth, did you? Did you bust in my mouth? Well, bitch, you would know, right? I would know, but still, did you bust with intent to impregnate me through my mouth? It's the 70s, In the 70s, this is before the AIDS epidemic, and everyone's convinced, like, if you even, like, breathe too heavy near a person with AIDS, you'd get it from them too. People were thinking different back then, so I wouldn't be surprised if at least people were, like, lifting their shirts up at the movie theaters, like, oh shit, nothing's gonna pop out of me, right? Except my ass, right? Later on, because all that popcorn and the sodas and the raisinets and shit at the movies. But we get that part. The xenomorph is born out of the fucking human guy. He's dead, of course. Fun fact was when they shot that scene of the xenomorph popping out the guy's stomach, I forget her name, but the other female lead, and I don't want to disrespect her not saying her name, but I don't remember right now, didn't know that there'll be like blood splatter effects involved, prop blood at least, that'd be splurting out of the stomach when the shit happens. So her freak out, which is legit, and it sounds good. I was like, that's some good acting. Turns out she was legit freaking out. She didn't know that would happen, and she actually like passed out for a bit, fainted, and just bugged out. As you should when that happens, if it ever does, or if it's ever happened to anybody that's been up to space, because listen, we're at the point now, 1979, I'm sure still, because they were only like maybe 10, 15 years removed from like when we went, quote unquote, to the fucking moon and landed on it and said, America, yeah, intergalactic shit. There's still people now debating that shit, so just imagine 1979. And this came from that shit, not too far removed from it, so why wouldn't there be that doubt? But also, why wouldn't we just fear the unknown like that, considering aliens seem to be some pretty bad motherfuckers like that, right? Popping out your stomach and creeping up on you like some goddamn stalkers, like the xenomorph does throughout the film too. So now they're on the alien hunt for the xenomorph the whole time because it's a freak little being. It's this tiny little thing when it pops out the stomach, but since they don't know how to deal with alien life forces, we don't know if it's gonna grow, if it's gonna multiply, whatever. This one random thing latches onto the guy's face. Now this other thing's born through this guy's stomach. So they have to incinerate the guy too, of course, in space because God forbid if it went through his mouth, came out his stomach, God knows it's gonna come out of his ass most likely. So preventive measures, I admire them for that and respect them. They burn his ass. They're on the alien hunt for the xenomorph. The great thing about this film, as old as it is, and I don't mean to say old just because it's old, but old as in you can easily dismiss it for as old as it is to not be scary, or the special effects look stupid, or the whole build-up and premise is idiotic, whatever. Or of course the 70s, they barely had movies coming out like once a month, so of course an alien movie is gonna freak everybody out. No, this shit, you gotta put respect on it, for real, because this shit really does get you a lot of times with little jump scares. They know how to set it up perfectly. Let's say if there were like 5 jump scares in the movie, I maybe only predicted 2 of them being like upcoming, that I could like see them coming, but even those 2 that I kind of felt were coming up, I still kind of, oh shit, kind of thing, right? And the other 3 were just like out of nowhere, I didn't expect them, but great surprise because I love being scared. I don't like horror movies only because they don't scare me. And that's not to say I'm like a big badass man, or, nothing scares me at all. I don't fear nothing, but more like I wish I could be scared in a movie in general, like I was with Alien, with the intent to scare me like that. So now they're on the alien hunt for the xenomorph. They find the cat that's been running astray. It's a fucking orange cat, so of course shouts to orange cat energy. They're always fucking weird and biting you for no reason, but they love you somehow in their own odd way. They're looking for the thing. They got flamethrowers. They're going down one by one by one by one. And then the crazy thing is too, yes, we got the xenomorph popping out the stomach. That was the first pleasant surprise, right? Before we even get the xenomorph in full form, the image as you see in the poster or that we've come to know, respect, and love, we get another fucking alien, which is really fucking crazy as far as like plot twist, throwing shit up as far as the script's concerned. I couldn't even understand how they did it, to be honest, even with like back when 1979 technology. The scientist guy turns out to be an android of all things. And just in case you don't know your terminology like I didn't initially, I had to research it. A cyborg is something that aids a living organism, or in this case a human, to fully process. An android is a mechanical device or being made to look like a human. So this was actually an android, meaning they made a whole replica, like NASA or whoever the fuck else invented this android, made by human hands, invented this android to infiltrate amongst the human team in case any of them went rogue or just try to, break away from the mission, basically. So he's a fucking android. He's got this whole scene where he's like pinning down Sigourney Weaver, and the black guy's there too, trying to whack at him, and he like takes his head off, and he's got all these wires and tubing and ooze popping out of him. They gotta beat him to death, presumably. They beat him dead, the android, but then they gotta bring him back to life to find out, okay, how do we kill this fucking thing that's taking us out one by one by one and shit. And he's like, well, you can't do it because it's unbeatable. It's the perfect life form. So there's good luck with that shit. So they have to kill him again. He says, tough shit. Life's a bitch and they can die like me, but you can't kill me because I'm an android. And then psych, boom, 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 boom. They start beating the fucking face in again. And then the black guy turns around at some point, takes the flamethrower at them to really like make sure it melts. It was a good looking head. The one they took off the person's body, presumably, of course, the person's body. For 1979, looks really good. Gotta give him credit there too. But then finally the whole build up to seeing the big reveal of the xenomorph, the big bad alien haunting and terrorizing these motherfuckers the whole time. It's great because it's bits and pieces in the shadow, going into a corner, kind of like the teeth a little bit, the figure, outline of it. And then finally, when she's the only one left on the ship and she's got to leave urgently, Sigourney Weaver, she has to figure out how. She's got to blow up the whole ship, basically. She's the only one left with the goddamn cat of all things. She was really worried about that cat. So all the cat lovers out there, nothing happens to the cat. The cat is fine throughout the whole time, and it's very well cared for. They're looking for the cat on this big-ass fucking spaceship with the imminent threat of a xenomorph alien that's going to rip these motherfuckers in half once it catches them, for the sake of finding the cat and making sure the cat is safe and put back in its crate and forced back into the pod at the end too, which the cat didn't enjoy at all. Gotta give a shout out to Sigourney Weaver because this is again her big screen debut with Alien. Job well done. Besides looking so goddamn good in her role and playing the character to a T. Wonderful. Because she's the only one left. She's walking around with the flamethrower in hand and the cat crate in the other, looking for the fucking thing. At some point, it seems like she got him. She's about to blow up the whole ship. She gets away in a fucking pod. The ship blows up behind her. She's free and clear. She thinks so. She gives us a pleasant surprise of 1979 Sigourney Weaver practically fucking naked with her nipples poking through her tight little white t-shirt. And for some odd reason, her panties, when she takes off her pants from the spacesuit, of course, she takes off her pants and her panties are like folded down like real low below her hip bones. You can practically see her pussy and you see all of her ass. It's ass in its entirety, her ass crack. Someone broke her ass, basically, it looks like. I'll admit, she got a bit of a flat back going on. Let's be honest here. I am a man that likes having meat back there, something to grab onto back there in case the train's making something stop, you know what I mean? But damn, she's got nothing going on back there in 1979. But then you wonder, like, Galaxy Quest or whatever that movie was she was in, like, in 2000 something, 1999. She got these fucking big jugs on her, too. But shouts to Sigourney Weaver, very good looking girl back when. And again, big screen debut, so she did really well. But that was the funny part, too, though, about her and the Panties. They're, like, halfway down, and apparently, according to, like, I think Ridley Scott, I think he said that, hold on a second. Yeah, so, fun fact, according to Ridley Scott himself on the commentary for a 4-box collection of Alien, he said they had to spend weeks and $5,000 extra dollars in the budget to pay someone to, quote, airbrush her massive bush out because she refused to both shave her fucking bush, Sigourney Weaver. Well, she was a rebel back then, wasn't she? It was the 70s, though, so shout out to the 70s, the late 70s. Or pull up a goddamn panties during the changing clothes scene at all. And listen, whoever fucking back in 1979 had to go frame by frame by frame of digitally removing her twat hairs from that scene, and it's a long scene too. It's not like, a brief little glimpse like they used to back when, oh, I don't want to get naked on screen, but I'll be in my panties and bra and shit. No. She's there for a while, walking around, prancing around. We get a full shot of her ass crack, so maybe she agreed, okay, no nudity, but you'll see my whole ass. I have none anyway, so it's okay. I can give that up. Whoever had to digitally remove or airbrush her bush, like Ridley Scott said, out of that fucking movie, and in the parts where she's in the panties, shout outs to them. Job well done. I don't see a fucking strand of hair. That shit looks clean, basically. So it makes you wonder how big the bush was then. Maybe just like a couple of stray hair. Maybe Ridley Scott's a neat freak like that, and he was like a couple of stray strands of hair were poking out through the sides, and he said, oh shit, we gotta fucking get rid of this whole thing. We gotta reshoot. You won't fucking cooperate, Sigourney. You pulling your panties up. A simple request, mind you. You won't cooperate, but fuck. Bring in the special effects guy. Tell him the fucking special duty at hand is get rid of a fucking twat hairs. They're in plain sight, goddammit. I thought the alien was bad enough to look at or scary enough. Now we gotta deal with fucking all this massive bush invading my fucking mainframe. But whatever. But then she gets away in the pod, right? And she thinks, free and clear, whatever. Turns out the goddamn thing snuck into, like, the dashboard or something of the goddamn pod she was on. While she's changing and prancing around the panties and all freshly sweaty out of a moon jumpsuit and shit, she has to get into another fucking spacesuit while the thing is up and active, and she catches the thing just to fucking what do you call that? She has to push that button to, like, God, what is it called? She has to hit the airlock door to, like, have all that force suck everything out of the ship. She straps herself into the spacesuit, into a seat, so that the thing gets sucked out. It finally does, and then finally, good riddance to the fucking alien, or so you think, because then it gets stuck on the fucking thrusters. She has to hit the fucking thrusters and light that bitch up on fire, burn it to a fucking crisp, presumably, at least for now, because it was Alien, and we're not talking about Aliens or Alien 3, we're talking about Aliens, the Aliens. That's it for Aliens. She fucking made it. She's free and clear. She saved the cat. She goes back into stasis into the fucking pod with the cat against his will, because the cat being a fucking bitch the whole time. Anytime's gotta get forced back into the pod. But that's Alien in a nutshell, basically. Another little fun fact about that is that Sigourney Weaver's name ain't actually Sigourney A. Weaver. It's actually Susan Alexandra Weaver, born in Manhattan to, I think I read correctly, British parents. But she felt at the age of 13, her nickname was, quote, too sweet for her when she was already 6 feet tall, and she wanted something more fitting in terms of Sigourney A. That's what she went with. So that's a fun fact. I had no idea that's what she did, or well, I don't know if legally that's a name. I think it's just her artistic name. She's been known for so long. We just know her as Sigourney Weaver, so shouts to her for that. Good name choice. I like it. And also, another little fun fact, copious amounts of KY jelly, of all things, were used to simulate saliva and give the alien an overall slimy appearance like it does have throughout the whole thing. It's scary looking, it's intimidating, it's terrifying, all that shit. And imagine it's not even so much less scary, but now more freaky, knowing that the thing was just dripping head to toe in KY jelly. I only know KY jelly to be used for the very adventurous couples when they want to get into ass play and foot play and, slipping and sliding on top of each other and, whatever they're fucking into. But to know that now makes this movie even better in my book if I have to give Alien a final score from 1979 here on episode 73 of Who This Been Watching. The final score I gotta give Alien out of a 2.
There's on-screen death implied because what was really cool to see was King Boo and King Babam at the wedding, as they would, since, evil supports evil, I think is one of them said. So they have to light King Babam on fire and set off his fuse, and he's like so stubby and short arm he can't reach the top of his crown to like get to the fuse and put it out. So at some point just like gives up, puts his arms out, and he blows up. So did he go up by suicide or did they kill him, basically? Okay, there's death after all in the Super Mario Brothers movie. So you can't really complain about that. It's not really full on a kid's movie like that if they got on-screen death, even if it's a made-up character, not human, and no guts and nothing, flying all over the place. After all, it's just TNT or dynamite or whatever King Babam was made of. But at least a proper use of a Babam.
Keep those fucking 2 fingers up. I'm giving Alien from 1979 2 out of 2. Holy shit, this movie was good. This movie was a pleasant surprise. It's one of those now officially. I'm mad I didn't get into this movie earlier. I hadn't watched it sooner. I had to wait till now, review time, 45 years later since its release, to finally sit down and watch and appreciate and become a fan of Alien. What a good movie. My incentive, my bait, was fucking Sigourney Weaver back in 1979, as good as she fucking looks in this movie. But I came away with the whole movie being so goddamn enjoyable. I highly recommend, I strongly recommend. It's so good and it's so scary. Jump scares throughout, if that's your thing. Great directing, great fucking, the way they set up the backdrops, they make it all look so fucking real at some points too. The ship, of course, it's 1979, so of course the ship is a big ass toy being held up by strings and shit and floating about as gracefully as, 70s graphics would allow you to. But it's still a great feel, great vibe overall. I hope you enjoy it when you do watch it, and if you do, let me know in the comments how you feel about it. You enjoyed it, you loved it more than me. You went on a fucking binge watch afterwards, Alien 2, 3, and however many else there is afterwards. Don't forget, I think August this year, we got the newest installment of the Alien franchise, Prometheus or some shit. I forget the name. That's coming out. So now my duty is to rewatch Alien again because I liked it that much. And you brought up Alien, I brought up Alien. I'm going to watch it again. Why not? So I can start 2 and then 3 and then the other ones and be caught up to date when the new one comes out this summer. Shout outs to you. Shout outs to Ridley Scott, Sigourney Weaver, the whole cast of fucking Alien 1. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.